Welcome back, our lovely viewers. We are still here and we are here to inform you, educate you, and inspire you. And right about now, we are going to proceed with our discussion. Though in the studio with us, we have a guest who is quite important, and I'll request him to introduce himself first, then we can continue with our discussion.
Thank you so much, Samantha. My name is Kwokwijuka, Executive Director in Youth Aid Africa, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, we are grateful that you honored our invitation.
Thank you so much.
And before we went for a commercial break, we had been talking about HIV/AIDS. And we discovered that the biggest percentage of the people living with AIDS is in Africa. And Uganda as a country is being affected.
Sure.
So what is your say about it? Because we were encouraging people to know their status. Because there are times people are going to have to, get infected in one way or the other, blood transfusion, unprotected sex, So how best can we help our people? Because
Okay, Samantha, you realize that things to do with HIV, excuse me, HIV is something that is very complicated. You want to know and you want to appreciate that something that I do not know where it came from, but I want to believe that it came from somewhere. And the framers or the innovators or the manufacturers of whatever it is knew very well that it would serve the purpose if they could put it in something that is too irresistible, that is too tempting and too addictive. When you talk about, for instance, sex, HIV being transmitted through unprotected sex and all that, it's something that we really may not ably control because when two grown-ups agree that, hi, let's remove our clothes and do A, B, C, and D. Samantha, Billy, where you are, you may not ably say, let me control these guys, what they're doing, because, I mean, it is between two people.
yes.
So I want to think that HIV is still here. We just have to pray sometimes. We just have to pray that we get out of it. Otherwise, I personally think that it is still here until we change our behavior. That's when we shall comfortably say that we can actually fight HIV.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was just a conclusion for what we've been talking about AIDS. But bottom line is, please know your status and live the right way. There is that ABC procedure that I encourage all of us to follow. Abstain, especially for the teenagers, the youths. Abstain until you're married. Then be faithful and then use condoms. Well, Billy, you have something to say about it?
Well, I think we need to address some of these issues that are affecting our country and our people and our productivity as a society. And until we give it topmost priority, we shall still have the same problems of an epidemic that is ravaging our country and destroying families every other day.
Yes. Well, right now we are going into another kind of discussion. And we are all aware, according to the press, 12th December is the day that has been set apart for the national dialogue. And Mr. Kwokwijuka, you have an article in the Daily Monitor about the national dialogue. And you say we risk losing a good fight by aborting the good idea.
Sure.
So you think the national dialogue is a good idea?
Very, very, it's actually a great idea.
Okay.
Yes, because in a developing country like Uganda, you are on point when you get people to talk about their future.
Yes.
When you get people to discuss about what is affecting them and how they can get out of it.
Yes.
But you lose the point when you rush the idea and end up losing the gist.
Okay.
And I think that's where we are.
So would you say that the national dialogue, this is not the right time for the national dialogue? Is that what you would say? But
it would be the right time, but I think that the right processes and the right people have not been engaged.
Because most people, when they picture the national dialogue, they see a group of politicians talking political problems.
Sure.
And yet the country is reeling for more than political problems.
Sure.
We have a failing infrastructure problem, although some of these issues would be connected to the politics, but we have a failing infrastructure problem. We have cultural issues that have not been addressed.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have people are not, the country hasn't been harmonized, as to say.
Sure.
So would you?
I will tell you, and this is my genuine take on the national dialogue. I want to think that Uganda, where we are, more than 50 years of independence and looking at the level of development.
Well, some would say pseudo independence because some would say we're not really independent.
Well, depending on what someone's attitude and perception is, I want to think that we are independent. Of course, there's no country in the world that is 100% independent. So I want to think that we are independent, and I can tell you that at the level at which we are, if we still want to think that the problem facing this country is just a political problem between 2 or 3 people, then we are doomed. My take is that close to 40 million Ugandans have a problem, and that is what we should be talking about. Because as a country, I want to think, if you ask anyone today that where do we see Uganda 100 years from today, I bet that anyone can tell you. We don't have a national dream. We don't have a national philosophy. We don't have that thing that if, for instance, they asked you that, Kwokwijuka, you are Ugandan, what
makes you Ugandan?
What makes you Ugandan? You know, someone will tell you, we have a crested crane, we all pay allegiance to the coat of arms. I mean, but you see, have we thought about that Ugandan thing that can actually, you know, set us apart from all the other countries in the world? Can we sit? When I was growing up some time back in my village, the local people used to have these periodic, you know, dialogues. The whole village would come together. They would talk about things. They would talk about people who have become errant in society, the thieves, those who steal other people's wives, and they would discipline them. There and then, at least every month, that would happen. When I went to school, we used to have debates at least every week. And that is when we would bring the issues that we think are affecting us as students in school. And we would make sure that we also propose a few things that we think can be done to put right this, you know. So my concern and my frustration is why we cannot, as a country, appreciate that the problem facing Uganda is much bigger than Museveni, is much bigger than Besigye, is much bigger than Bobi Wine. And for as long as we still think that the problem of this country is, you know, just about those 3 people, then we are losing it. And we are still playing in the hands of one man in this country who I think has mastered the art of politics, has mastered the art of managing Uganda, and has mastered the attitude of Ugandans and knows how to manage them.
A little interjection, Mr. Kwokwijuka.
Yes.
Well, you said national dialogue is supposed to be where people come.
Yes.
And then discuss the issues,
yes,
and challenges they're facing.
Sure.
But for a moment, the head of the state says that some issues should not even be discussed about.
Sure.
And that is a reason people are saying for us we cannot go, because that is the only problem that we have.
Sure.
And he says don't even bother talking about that issue.
Sure.
Because there is nothing to talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's what is challenging.
Sure.
people.
Do you know what I would say there? I do not think, for instance, the president of this country should be in charge of the national dialogue. Well, we can seek his opinion on what he thinks about some of these things because he's the head of state, he's the fountain of honor.
Yes.
We can seek the opinions of the leaders of opposition because they are into this and they are driving the country to account and stuff like that. We can ask the religious leaders to give their opinion, them being moral leaders of this country and all that. But the most important participant in this, and whose opinion should actually count more than any other opinion, is the common person, the wananchi.
Okay.
So for as long as we still have not given chance to the common person, that woman, that man in Chigarama, in the Kabale district where I come from, to really feel they own the national dialogue and they own whatever is being talked about, I still think that we are just playing games. So
you actually think that people can get up and then go speak for themselves?
Exactly. For instance, if today, if this country said, Kwokwijuka, give us away, let's see how we get into the national dialogue. You know what I would do? I would go to every village and make sure that the conversation or the dialogue is generated right from there. Yeah? So that every village, for instance, we say that every month, let every village have a sitting. That day, it will be a public holiday. so that no one goes to work. People come together and they talk. Once they talk, some of these ideas can come through the local government structures. We have a very good, local government system. From LOC 1, they can come to LOC 2, LOC 3, LOC 5, come to Parliament, and then they up to the executive. Then once we are sure that we have all conceived the idea, then we can call the country to one table.
Well, what would you say about people who would say that the people on the grassroots, the people down, are being represented by the parliament? Because at the end of the day, these people elect representatives to the national legislature, and the national legislature represents your ideas and mine as well, because we elect these people to where they are to represent us. So some people would say our ideas are being represented. That's why some people in the government would say we don't need a national dialogue because we have representatives. That the parliament would be the one to maybe initiate some sort of national dialogue if they deemed it necessary, because they are our representatives.
Billy, do you know what I would do if I had the powers? I would actually overthrow the current parliament. Because trust me, our current parliament has done more harm than good to this country. And I can tell you, they are no longer of big value to us. They are actually a liability. So to think that we have people in parliament, yes, we have some people in parliament who actually speak on behalf of the citizens, and they really are passionate about the welfare of the common person, and they want to see people, be better. But I can tell you that more than 80% of our current parliament are actually liability to Ugandans. And for me, I no longer even convince myself that we have a parliament and we can trust it to do A, B, C, and D. Because a parliament that is paid to pass laws that are benefiting only one person, a parliament that cannot spend time to think about the most critical things in this country. And that's why some people are thinking about the national dialogue.
Well, the former minister, Bidandi Sali, said over the weekend that half of the parliament cannot debate.
They cannot. Actually, 80% of the parliament cannot debate. Yes, and you see, I will tell you that Ugandans know. And even today, if you go to, like now, if I went to my village and say, I want to contest for MP, people know that they're actually voting for me to come to Kampala and eat money. They no longer feel that people come to Kampala to represent them. So I want to think that the parliament is not the best to actually do this. So that's why people are thinking about the national dialogue. And because the kind of culture that we have groomed in this country, even those who have, the framers of the national dialogue have also ended up playing, in the same, like you're playing with like Arsenal is playing with Manchester, and then Arsenal decides to play within its own coach, scoring themselves, and that is what these guys are doing. I met a few of them some time back, and I was telling them, look, this country has 29 million young people. The flamers and the ones driving this idea is the Elders Forum, is the Interreligious Council. But, where is the voice of the young people? I want to think that a proper and more sensible national dialogue would be driven by young people, because we probably know what we want this country to look like 60 years from now. But an 80-year-old today may not really have an idea what kind of Uganda I want to see when I am 80.
Mr. Kwokwijuka.
Yes, please.
Well, I am persuaded that there is a specific number of people to attend this national dialogue.
Sure.
So if you are saying that people, common people, can actually go and attend this national dialogue, yet there's going to be what we call protocol.
Sure.
The current representatives that were elected from different constituencies, how best can these people be helped? Because some of them are actually very interested. Just because now the limit of the people to attend the national dialogue, even still, the people they are putting ahead, yet actually they cannot debate.
Sure.
So what is the importance of actually saying the MPs will go there, yet they'll just go and sit and enjoy the environment? Yet people who would have debated are left outside.
Exactly. The only solution is really to get this idea to the common person. And if we are to get representatives, for instance, let us get representatives let people send their representatives. Because if you ask me, those attending the national dialogue, how are they being selected? Who is selecting them? What is the qualification? Tomorrow you'll find invitation card somewhere in the conference, someone moving with them in the pocket and then just giving, because I know Samantha, I know Billy, I know so and so, and then at the end of the day, it is not something that will be sustainable.
Yes.
If I would ask after the national dialogue,
what next?
What next? Is there some kind of structural arrangement that the resolutions from the national dialogue will be implemented? Is there the political will?
Well, there is something that always comes to my mind.
Sure.
That you see, if there is a pot of water and a snake maybe falls in and dies. Okay, let's not use a snake because a snake can survive in water.
Sure.
A rat
Sure.
falls in that pot of water.
Sure.
It is a pot that people actually fetch their drinking water. They keep drinking, and then just a little while they discover actually there is something wrong with the water.
Sure.
All they have to do is pour the water,
Sure.
wash the pot, and refill it.
Sure.
So I am persuaded that actually our nation is having a rat inside, and people are still fetching. That even if people come up and say, this is what happened from the national dialogue, we came up with this and this, it's not going to be put in action. They're just going to keep making, how many promises have been made and never been fulfilled?
And very many. And I can tell you, using your analogy of the pot and rat, I can tell you that the Elders Forum, the Interreligious Council, they already know that they're actually pushing a good idea, but with some bit of funny processes, and they're already stuck with it. They cannot withdraw. They know that it's like when you have a bitter pill. You can't swallow it, you cannot spit it out. So they are stuck. And that's why you see they have now started running. And just wait a few days, you will see them. These things will come out. Because the truth is, there is no structural arrangement whatsoever around this national dialogue. Yes, and I want to think that if the Elders Forum and the Interreligious Council are also not trying to push for certain things, because the other day someone was saying that these guys are retired and they are just idle and they're looking for what to do, which I don't agree with, because I want to think that given their profiles and what they have done before, I want to think that they are people of great respect to this country and they are citizen leaders, senior citizens. I want to think that they wish well for the country. The only bad thing is that they have not sought enough counsel and guidance and participation of people like us who would really have much to offer to this country compared to them. Because like I said, comparing me at my age and an 80-year-old, and you want to think that we are all going to think about the same for the future of this country, that is totally not possible.
Well, as we sum up the show, what do you think will come out of the national dialogue? And yes, we know there's going to be a national dialogue. It might not turn out as we expect, and not much might come out of it. But what can Ugandans look forward to as a relief for themselves if the national dialogue does not come out the way we expect? Because some people will sit back and think the national dialogue has probably painted a way that it's going to come out. And many people would anticipate it that way.
If you ask me what is going to come out of the dialogue, there are three things I'll tell you. There will come out a report about the event. There will be a media story. Yes? Yes. And there will be a few, conversations on the street, and that is all. Yeah.
So actually,
nothing much.
It's just going to be more like we're having a history of we once had a national dialogue.
Exactly.
Which had no impact.
Exactly.
No.
And maybe if I'm not mistaken, there may be a few medals given out. Yeah, and that's it.
So what do you think as we come to your final remarks? What do you think Uganda should look out for? What do you think is a solution to this country's problem?
I actually think that the national dialogue, the organizers of this national dialogue, should postpone it. Go back to the drawing board and involve the people from the grassroots. Well, once that happens, then we can be able to drive. Even if it does not happen this year, Uganda is here to stay. when you start something today, it's not a must that it must happen when you are still, in charge. It's very okay to start the process now. It's very okay for this national dialogue to happen 10 years from now. But from the look of things, I can tell that these guys are in a rush to finish something.
Well, besides the national dialogue, what do you think is the other alternative? In case we do not look at the national dialogue to solve Uganda's problems, what do you think is the alternative for a regular Ugandan out there, regular Joe, who's struggling to get through life?
Exactly. All those who are interested in seeing this country be better, I would think that we should mobilize ourselves and appreciate that this country is ours, change our attitude towards it, do whatever we can do in our capacities, in my own capacity, in your capacity, in her capacity. Let us bring together all those small efforts so that we can build the country. Through all those things, be it elections, be it all those development programs. For as long as we can change our attitude, mobilize ourselves, and bring our efforts together, I want to think that Uganda would be a better country.
All right. Those were the final remarks of Kwokwijuka Alexander, the Executive Director of Youth Aid Africa, who was discussing with us the national dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you for honoring your invitation.
Thank you.
Well, that marks the end of our topical discussion, but stay tuned. When we come back, you'll have Ali Matovo with the sports.
Welcome to the Heads Show.
We gather, produce, and deliver news and other events happening in your area.
We engage experts, even you, the public, on topical issues such as business, health, family, and money, sex, and God.
All these issues inspire you, way or another, to make your daily decisions.
With the motivation of all your sports updates, we let you know what's happening to your greatest stars, both local and international.
I am Samantha Ndiamohachi.
Billy Gang Bruno.
Matovu Ali.
The Heads. We inspire you
and educate you.
From 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.